Hello and welcome back to another Nerf Blaster review video for the channel. My name is Luke Trenton and today we are covering the Delta Trooper. This is a magazine-fed spring action blaster from the Elite line, and this is something that I recently got back around to. So I saw this for its original release a few years ago and I thought it's quite interesting because the overall look for this blaster is really funky. The last few Elite blasters before Elite 2.0 took over had a very cool aesthetic going on for it. You could see a slightly darker shade of blue, more orange was visible. This more serious sort of black section where you could see Elite kind of not painted on, but there's a layer of plastic behind it so it's more visible. It's overall a really cool looking blaster. This, the Trilogy, the Titan, I think the Infamous had something similar going on for it. Yeah, just the aesthetics alone really do turn me on for this blaster. So there is a fair bit to talk about, but for now I'm going to start off with the core blaster, and I'm going to take off these two included attachments so we can provide more focus to the blaster itself. So this is what you get. This is, like I mentioned earlier, a magazine-fed spring action blaster with the priming handle on the top. This is very similar to the Retaliator, and this is supposed to be the successor to the Retaliator. But for many people, it's not so much the case, but we'll get to that later on. So the magazine included, whilst I got mine second hand, the original one did include a 12 darts magazine. It was a normal orange one. Again, this one being second hand, this is a slightly transparent one, but all the same, it's still the same purpose. So I'll put that to the side to focus more on the blaster itself. And this shape, again, seriously, it's so cool. I feel like this could have been made to be just a little bit longer, around the same size as the Modulus ECS-10. Have a front rail or front sight of some kind along here, so you can still have it down sights and not have any kind of interruption, because when it came to the Retaliator and the Recon before it, on the priming handle there was a tactical rail, so if you wanted to put an optic there, you're going to be shaking around that optic as you're trying to aim down sights, and that just made things a bit more clumsy. So this does have normal fire and slam fire. So I won't put the magazine in because I do have some darts loaded and ready to go for a chrono test later on, but slam fire is basically holding down the trigger. Volume warning, by the way, you might want to turn this down a little bit because firing blasters in videos does get a bit noisy. So slam fire again works just by holding down the trigger and you just continue to fire the blaster. For this, it's pull backwards and pull forwards. Slam fire is always great fun. There is an access door for this blaster. You pull the priming handle back and there it is on the top. It's a very clean looking door because, again, this whole orange section here, it's so smooth. The only thing that's sort of out of place is the priming handle, but even then that fits the aesthetic on purpose. Absolutely wonderful. So you just may have noticed there that when I pulled the trigger, the priming handle kind of shuffles back a little bit. I have done some test firing with this particular unit, and there hasn't been any kind of reason to cause any jams or otherwise malfunction in any way when it comes to feeding and firing darts. This is just a little quirk where the handle just shuffles backwards a bit. I will get to the magazine later on, but first let's talk about the attachments. First of all, this does come with a stock, and this stock again is a very clean looking stock. It very much suits the later Elite look. It's very short for my liking, but again it's a very serious look and I absolutely dig it. The cheek piece looks like a jam door. Am I the only one who thinks this? It looks like something you want to lift up as if it was all the way over here. I don't know if anyone ever caught that idea as well, but this it's a bit weird. I don't know why that's even orange, but at the same time it doesn't necessarily matter. Having this in my shoulder, of course, naturally this being a shorter stock has the sort of V shape going on for my firing arm, but at the same time it's comfortable. With this being a more square shaped cheek piece, you would think these edges are sharp, but because it's got a bit of detailing going on here, it's actually not uncomfortable. I can put this into my shoulder and aim down sight and I'd be completely fine. I mean, it's not cutting into my cheek, it's not uncomfortable, it's not scratching it, it's surprisingly comfortable, especially given the more squarer nature of this design. Now we move on to the barrel attachment. I think I've still got this primed. Yeah, there we go, just to not ruin the spring. So the barrel attachment itself is, again, very similar to ones that we have seen in the past, most notably with the Retaliator, because the overall shape is kind of there. This definitely reminds me of the Recon one in particular, because the Recon, just to put that down one sec, the Recon came with a light unit that you could attach underneath on the bottom rail. Sadly, this one does not have a bottom rail. It has this triple slide thing going on. I don't know what these are supposed to represent, but that's the overall look. It's cool we have a top rail, but a bottom rail would be a lot more convenient. But at the same time, given the nature of the Delta Trooper, this is the only top rail that comes with the blaster, so your optic will be going here. But yes, this was a very interesting design. It definitely took me back to what the Recon barrel looks like, and of course the Retaliator, because it's the same overall thing. And again, it completes the look very well. Of course, this is designed to fit on the Delta Trooper in particular. Thing to where this orange bit all lines up, as well all the blue details along the bottom. It's not so much an aggressive look. Yes, it's going to be more rifle-esque, but at the same time, it feels and looks more concentrated. That's probably the best word I can use to describe the aesthetics of this blaster. It's very cool and concentrated. It's absolutely remarkable. So now let's go on to the firing test. And this is going to be the most fun and probably the loudest part of the video. So for the sake of this video, I only have 5 darts included in this magazine. This magazine can hold 12 darts maximum, 13 if you're a bit careless, but at the same time you can sometimes get away with that. Though I wouldn't recommend putting more darts in a magazine than otherwise advertised. So, magazine in, slide forward, and that is how you load the blaster. And firing is that simple. That almost came back and hit the camera stand, thank God it didn't. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is have a few more shots. I'm going to take off this front barrel and put on good old chrono barrel. We're going to get some chrono results. I haven't actually done this yet. So normally when it comes to playing with the blaster before a video, I get this done beforehand. But this time, surprisingly, I just kind of not so much forgot about it, but I think I just didn't think to do so. So we're going to have 4 shots, and again, volume warning because firing a blaster on video just, it's naturally loud. So again, 4 shots, 2 of them normal, 2 of them slam fire. 68, 70, so now holding down the trigger for slam fire, 64, 74, very interesting. Okay, so this can definitely hit from mid-60s to mid-70s, but so long as it can hit above 70, which is the standard Nerf par when it comes to dart blasters, that's a good thing. So I'm going to keep the magazine out now because that is something we don't really need to do anything else with. I'm trying to juggle as well. Take the chrono barrel off first. There we go. So now we can put this barrel back on and come to the conclusion for this video. So that is the overall look and feel of this blaster. It's very interesting. It's kind of small again, but that's only because of the stock. You know me, I'd rather my stock was about here because that feels more suitable to my personal shape size. And overall, it's a pretty good blaster. However, do I recommend this for purchase? So you don't really see these too often here in the UK. I don't remember seeing it on shelves, but this is a 2018 release, I believe, 2018 or 2019. So it's only a few years old, but it's basically had its course. And if you were going to get one Nerf blaster, I probably wouldn't recommend this. The blaster that this is succeeding is called the Retaliator. And even then, if you go to eBay, I think Smith's, which is a toy store here in the UK, still sell versions of the Rampage and the Retaliator. At least during my last number of visits, I saw versions and definitely remember seeing like a white variant with the Rampage where I had the long stick magazine. That itself is an old blaster. And Retaliators are way more accessible, especially secondhand on eBay. It has that top rail on the priming handle. The barrel attachment and the stock are definitely more orientated for general nerfers, and the barrel has a bottom rail. And of course, if you're going to find a Retaliator that is the full package, it comes with a foregrip, so there's much more to it. So if you're going to get a top prime blaster, this, at least for me, shouldn't be your first choice. Go for a Retaliator because they are a lot more fun, a lot more reliable, and a lot more easier to come by. But if you've got a bit more of a collection and you see one of these, I could definitely say go ahead and go for one. I was able to get this one in this condition for about £15. I think that also included postage, but at the same time it was a bit more rare to come across. So yes, it's a good blaster and probably worth getting, but put this lower down on your to buy list. So not a bad blaster by any means, but not one you should prioritize to get first. And that is everything I can say for the Delta Trooper. That is a blaster that is, again, a few years old at this point. It's very interesting to now have in my collection. It's, again, I definitely love how it looks. That Elite styling, if that carried on into Elite 2.0 into a much more proper way, the lighter shade of blue is not very favourable, especially now that we've got 2 years into it. You know, some people are still judging it and some people aren't quite keen on it still, but at the same time, that aesthetic specifically is one I'm in love with. Hopefully such an aesthetic does come back one day, like an Elite 2.0 original series, maybe with darker shades of blue. what's the new sub-series? I think it's called the Wild series, something like that, where a couple of new blasters have come out in this tiger stripe dark blue skin, which looks amazing. If we can get some more blasters that look like that, that will definitely take my interest. But that is all for this video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye bye.